What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday, we did have the Mr. Sakurai Presents, where he went over all of the different moves and gameplay elements for Kazuya, but we did have some other reveals during that live stream that certainly brought up quite a bit of controversy online. So we're going to go over that, as well as everyone now turning their attention to that final character slot for Smash Brothers. Also, we're going to be talking about a big upgrade that was announced for Xbox Game Pass when it comes to streaming these different games on other platforms, and we're going to go over some initial sales information that we have now for Mario Golf Super Rush, as it looks like it did top the charts in the UK. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Metal Gear Online. No, really, Metal Gear Online is kind of back, really with the help of fans right now anyway, not with the help of Konami. Take a look at this video here. This appears to be a trailer that was put together for MGO2 PC. That's right, it's using a custom build of RPCS3 so that you can go online and play with other people on a server that's been established for Metal Gear Online. And I don't know if you remember playing this back in like 2009 or so, but it was basically like playing Metal Gear against other people online in different match types, and it was really fun, but it was a shame, of course, when Konami kind of pulled it down, and then now we're kind of stuck with what? Metal Gear Survive. These were like the good days of Metal Gear, and in order to do this, you would use that emulator with a pretty good PC in order to get good performance, and that's kind of it. There's a whole tutorial online on how to do this, and to be honest, if you want to check it out, I would do it sooner rather than later, as we know what happens when these companies start to see this online. They usually get it pulled down. So I would recommend going to check it out. They have their website set up, again, with tutorials and all of the files you would need to make this work. But pretty cool at least to see Metal Gear Online back for now. Also, it does look like a new rating was spotted by Gematsu. We can see this here, saying rated in Australia, Project 2021B, published by ZeniMax, developed by id Software. Now, they had a project that was rated called 2021A before, and I believe that turned into like Doom VR. So this could be a couple of things. I don't think it's like their next big title, like big new IP or anything. I'm kind of thinking it might be something smaller, maybe something to do with Quake. That's been mentioned and brought up, a Quake remaster, a Quake remake, Quake VR maybe. Again, a lot of possibilities here, and I'm kind of thinking now, obviously, that Microsoft's kind of running the show there with ZeniMax and Bethesda. Maybe it's set up for something later on with QuakeCon, because otherwise I would say, hey, maybe it's a VR game that's going to be shown during Sony's rumored event coming up, but I'm kind of thinking more along the lines of either just a Twitter drop and reveal, or they'll save it for an event like QuakeCon. Oh, and speaking of Sony and their rumored event coming up here in a week or so, it does look like a domain was registered that once again could be adding more credence to the Ghost of Tsushima expansion that's now being rumored. We can see this here that was spotted, Ghost of Ikishima.com. It was registered pretty recently, and everyone's kind of looking at this saying, well, I guess that's confirmation. The URLs are getting put into place and ready to go for when Sony's going to unveil this one with Sucker Punch. And I do still think it's very possible that there is some sort of expansion for Ghost of Tsushima, like a standalone kind of thing, like I said, like Infamous First Light or Uncharted Lost Legacy. I don't necessarily know that this URL, which redirects, by the way, to PlayStation's website currently, is necessarily confirmation, because we've seen stuff like this before where different URLs were registered and it was basically done in order to troll people. So there's a chance that, okay, yeah, it's a thing, but then we come back to this URL and they post up some kind of meme or something as kind of that aha or that gotcha moment. So we'll keep an eye on this, but look forward, I guess, to Sony having some sort of event here in the coming weeks, and maybe we'll see this expansion. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Mr. Sakurai Presents for Kazuya. And the really fun thing about these Sakurai Presents is kind of the stuff and the backstory that goes into these different characters making it in, because he'll really go in depth. Sakurai will sit down and talk about the little things like the differences in character speed between Tekken and Smash Brothers, and really talk to you about, hey, this wasn't exactly an easy thing to do necessarily, and go through some of the intricacies that I'm sure people don't necessarily care about, but I think it's kind of fun just to get a window into the development for these different characters, and he'll usually go into the history and backstory of these different characters, all of which he did with Kazuya. So it was a lot of fun to see that, and then of course he goes on and he'll show all the different character moves, play styles, all these different things, even showing what Kirby looks like when he copies Kazuya, which a lot of people are generally pretty interested in that one, and then also all the different colors and variations you get of the character itself. And then also they went over all of the different music tracks that are being added, which, by the way, they're adding 39 music tracks from the Tekken series, which is just, I mean, that's insane just how much music has accumulated in Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's actually pretty impressive to scroll through it at this point. But the other big reveal that caused a lot of controversy, because Kazuya will be heading to Smash Bros. Ultimate today, but he's going to be accompanied by a couple of outfits for your different Mii characters, and you can see them here. That's right, we have Lloyd, that's from Tales of Symphonia, Skyrim's Dragonborn, Shantae, and Devil May Cry's Dante. Now, this didn't necessarily go over that well. I think most people are okay with like Shantae and Dragonborn and even Lloyd, even though I think Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia, it would have been a pretty cool character. Again, I'm not that into Smash, but it's fun seeing the character reveals. I would have put money on Dante getting in though, so I mean, a lot of people are looking at this and saying, well, I guess that kind of rules out Dante as the last fight, or even Lloyd, who, by the way, Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia was like at the top in Japan for different polls they were running for characters that people would like to see added into Smash. So it's not like he's just randomly thrown in there. People have requested Lloyd, but obviously Dante continues to come up. So now, who's gonna be the last character? Because Sakurai did reiterate, hey, this is it. This last character that you see right here, the little question mark, we're not doing anything else after this. And it's still gonna show up towards the end of this year. Sakurai said it's gonna be a while before you hear from me again, and I'm kind of thinking we could see, I guess, the character reveal either in a late year direct or the Video Game Awards. We've seen characters, of course, get unveiled at the Video Game Awards before, and that seems like a good place. But the big question now, and everyone's wondering, can the final character live up to the hype? It's gonna be tough, right? I mean, we saw what happened when Steve got announced. No one saw that one coming. It did break the internet for a little while. Even Banjo was pretty big too, but I mean, there's so much expectation and hype built up around the final character in what's the biggest Smash game we've ever seen. Some crazy crossovers and collaborations and tons of music, like I said. So you gotta cap everything off with a big time reveal. And there are a few that come to mind. Obviously, you could have Sora. That's a big one that people keep requesting. Can Nintendo get that done? With Square and Disney, could you do Doomguy? Would Doomguy be big enough for that final reveal? If there is a Halo announcement in some way for the Switch, could Master Chief be enough? Or do we say, you know what? Sakurai's the final character. That's my favorite suggestion, by the way. I think that'd be pretty fun. I saw someone mention, hey, what if Sakurai was the last fighting character and his gimmick was that he can take powers from anyone, any of their abilities or their fighting styles, and that'd probably be a pretty broken character, but hey, it's Sakurai. You gotta go out with a bang. Why not? And then, of course, people have mentioned Waluigi and others. So I guess at this point, let me know who you would like to see as the final character in Smash Bros. Ultimate. How do we cap this entire thing off without too many people getting upset? Next up, let's talk about Xbox Game Pass and game streaming. Now, this is something that Microsoft obviously is pushing big time because it's a way that they're going to be able to get their games and their service, which is what they really want to get out there, onto other platforms. And it looks like now they're opening everything up here for game streaming through Xbox Game Pass, or xCloud as a lot of us still call it. They put this press release here out on Xbox Wire, and we can see it says, starting today, Xbox Cloud Gaming is available to all Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members with Windows 10 PCs and Apple phones and tablets via browser across 22 different countries. Xbox Cloud Gaming is now powered by custom Series X hardware. And this is something we had kind of talked about before, because some were noticing, hey, this game is loading pretty quick, certainly faster than it did like last week over streaming. And now there's all these settings saying 120 FPS and like favor resolution. This is stuff I see on the Xbox Series X platform, but not on like the Xbox One, which is what cloud streaming was running on previously for Microsoft. So it does look like, I guess they completed a lot of their upgrades in their data centers, moving to the Xbox Series hardware. And as I've said before, I think this is a good thing to have as a complementary piece to the overall picture if you're a subscriber to Game Pass. I don't necessarily know if I would run my entire experience going forward just through streaming, through a browser on my iPhone or Android device, any of that. I am still very much looking at like, okay, I'd rather play basically all of my games on native hardware, but the idea that it's part of a service that I maybe already subscribed to through Game Pass Ultimate, and if I'm in a pinch and I want to play on my phone using touch controls, which still needs some work as it is, it's just nice to have. Really, that's the way I look at it. And of course, you can still play through a browser. So if you're just using Windows 10 and you load up a browser, then you can jump right into a lot of these games through game streaming. It's good to see because Stadia still technically has a better streaming experience. I mean, they're able to do 4K, high frame rates, all of this, whereas Microsoft is still kind of sitting at 1080p, 60 frames per second. So I am interested if Microsoft can now start to push things up to 4K and kind of get that ball rolling for the next gen with Series X hardware in their data centers. But it's a good upgrade. It's what people have been asking for. And now you can have xCloud or game streaming on your iPhone, your tablet, and on your Windows PC. Next up, let's talk about Mario Golf Super Rush, as we did get our first indication of sales from the UK, which we can see the chart here starting at the top with number 1 being Mario Golf Super Rush. It debuted and immediately took the top of the chart there. Ratchet & Clank actually fell down to number 3, but Ratchet & Clank had an interesting second week where it climbed the charts, and I can only imagine that means that more PS5s came back in stock last week and it propelled Ratchet & Clank up the charts. But we have FIFA 21 at 2 and then Ratchet & Clank at 3. Still pretty good hold there for Ratchet & Clank, I would say. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at number 4. It's basically just always in the top 10. Animal Crossing New Horizons here at 5. Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 6. Minecraft on the Switch at 7. And Scarlet Nexus debuts at 8. Scarlet Nexus is interesting. I was kind of hoping it would have done a bit better. Debuting at number 8 is fine. Remember, these are all physical sales, and I had a hard time finding Scarlet Nexus at all on the PlayStation or the Xbox. I ended up taking the first copy I could eventually find after going to 3 different stores, and I ended up with the Xbox copy, which is fine. There are no issues there. It was just strange that I had a hard time finding it in general. Looking at the split though for Scarlet Nexus, 58% of sales were on the PS5 in the UK, 21% on the PS4, and then 20% on the Xbox, which is funny because I feel like Microsoft has done a ton of advertising for that game, and people still just bought it on the PlayStation. But hey, I guess for a lot of these games out of Japan, people still relate them to the PlayStation platform there. And then at number 9, we have Ring Fit Adventure. And then number 10 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Now looking at Mario Golf compared to the previous Mario sports game, that being Mario Tennis Aces that released in 2018, Mario Golf sold 17.5% more than Mario Tennis Aces. But in 2018, there were certainly less Switch systems out in the UK. But of course, we have also seen certainly a bigger push towards the digital market, and that's affecting physical game sales, as what seems to be pointed out here consistently by GamesIndustry.biz. So it's kind of hard to judge this even compared to Mario Tennis Aces, although it seems like Mario Golf is off and running to a good start here. We'll see what happens with some of the sales charts that we get out from Japan and then eventually the MPD. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Insomniac Games and how it looks like they may be developing a multiplayer game, or maybe a multiplayer mode for an existing game. Let's head over here. This was spotted on Twitter from Insomniac Games, saying Insomniac is hiring. We have 5 new job openings for a multiplayer project. Come join us and be part of the PlayStation Studios family as we work on exciting things. And we see a creative director, systems designer for multiplayer, story lead, art director, all kinds of stuff here that they're, I guess, gearing up for some sort of multiplayer game. And I guess there's a few things we could look at here. As I mentioned, they could be creating a mode for a currently existing game, although there's a lot there that they're hiring for just that. I was thinking like we've had Ratchet Deadlocked in the past. Maybe they add a multiplayer aspect to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, similar to what we've seen with Ghost of Tsushima, where that got a multiplayer element added to it. Maybe for Ratchet and Clank. Maybe they go back and get the Resistance franchise and move it up to its own multiplayer game. As we've seen before with Sony mentioning the investors, they're looking more and more to live service games, which would be multiplayer style games. And you know what? I think a really cool shooter, specifically a first-person shooter like Resistance from Sony would be fun, but even SOCOM would be pretty cool. There are a lot of possibilities, but if I had to, I guess, hope and maybe even take a guess, why not bring Resistance back and let's get a really cool multiplayer game to play online against other people from Insomniac. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, with Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC finishing up, do you think Sakurai will make another Smash game in the future? 23% said yes, he'll make a follow-up to Ultimate. 77% said no, he might retire or try making a different game. During that live stream, Sakurai did kind of reflect on Smash Bros. Ultimate, mentioning that, yeah, it's my life's work. I mean, this is pretty much it right here. This is obviously this massively successful franchise, that being Smash Brothers, and Ultimate is like the biggest Smash Brothers game, to the point where I don't know how Nintendo follows this one up, because no matter what they do, there will probably be less characters in the next iteration. And if Sakurai isn't around, I mean, people are gonna, of course, be concerned as to how that will look, and will it still match up to some of the previous Smash Brothers games? And at this point, if you're Sakurai, do you retire or do you look towards maybe doing a different game? Something that maybe you have an idea for and you're like, hey, that'd be a really cool original IP, or maybe you want to go back and work on Kid Icarus and give that another shot. There are a lot of things that could happen here, because remember, Sakurai is part of Sora Limited, not part of Nintendo, so he could go off and maybe even fund his own project or look for other companies, or who knows, maybe stick with Nintendo and try out some things there. So a lot of stuff to look forward to here from Sakurai as they kind of wind down and finish up with this final character slot. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from, it looks like a person who had just held down the E key for a second or two, saying, a fan translation getting the publisher's blessing with an official release is absolutely insane. I can't imagine how fan translators all over the world must be feeling. This is an endeavor that used to have zero chance of legitimized reward or recognition. That's a good point, that, yeah, a lot of other fans or groups who have been translating different games or localizing them in general probably noticed this and said, wow, that maybe there is a future for this. Maybe that company that I've been just kind of working on their games in my spare time comes to me and wants to do a partnership of some kind. Because when you get kind of the fans involved, you end up with a pretty good product, because there's a lot of passion behind that project. We saw what happened with Sonic Mania. Fans came in and basically built a better Sonic game than Sega's made in a long time. So I hope this continues. I don't know if it's legal stuff or just outright pride that keeps some of these companies away from asking fans for help who have done great work with some of these projects, but I hope this is a trend that continues and starts to pick up as we go forward. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's Insomniac's multiplayer project that they're hiring people for. What game do you want to see them do, whether it's a new IP or maybe a franchise that they've worked on before? Also, what do you think about this last Smash Brothers character? Who would you like to see close out Smash Brothers Ultimate? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.